Welcome back to Machine Learning Applied. This and the next couple episodes are a mini-series on multimedia generative AI, tools in image generation like Stable Diffusion, Midjourney, GPT-4o, and Imagen 4, tools in video generation like VO3, Sora, Runway, and Kling, a bit on audio generation with Udio and Suno and 11 Labs, and how to stitch them all together in an end-to-end multimedia project like a long-form video movie or a short-form video advertisement. These episodes are a lay of the land, comparative analysis between the tools, and practical advice. This is a hot topic currently, so I'm going to have new listeners. For the new listeners, the way this podcast works is episodes labeled as MLA are Machine Learning Applied, where I talk tools and practical stuff. Episodes labeled MLG are Machine Learning Guide, where I talk theory and education. So once this mini-series is done, I'll get back into the how of it all, machine learning theory behind these models like diffusion models, variational autoencoders, and so forth. So if you're an MLG veteran just here for the ML theory, hang tight for a few more episodes and I'll get back into the meat and potatoes. Now, there's a lot to cover in these episodes, so to keep the timestamps tight, I did something I never do and I wrote a script. Before I get into that, I want to give you my hot take personal experience. I favor VO3 for videos and GPT-4o for images. I'll save the VO stuff for the next episode on video gen and talk about my GPT-4o experience here. I personally have had very poor results with Midjourney, which is kind of weird because it's the industry de facto. But then again, I haven't spent proper time learning Midjourney, which is pretty important to use it. And as you'll see later, it's more for true art anyway. Beautiful fantasy and sci-fi settings, and I'm usually just trying to get a job done. Midjourney is worse at listening, which is called prompt adherence, than GPT-4o is. Every prompt I've thrown at 4o, I've rolled with result number 1. Perfect, you nailed it, no modifications. What makes GPT-4o special is that it's a multimodal model, not a standard text-to-image diffusion model. The same model that has reasoning over language has that reasoning integrated into its image generation process. Language and pixels live in the same dimensions. So 4o, quote unquote, understands images. You can make tweaks to existing images or iterate on its own results. If you go to my website, ocdevel.com, browse it around, there's 3 ads to the same Walking Desk page, 3 separate images, and they were all one-shot modifications of the first. The first was a robot with a graduation cap. Very little prompt engineering there. It just understood what I was going after. I said a robot on a walking pad learning, the same robot but as a creative, the same robot but working. It was so easy. And for the record, I am a Google fanboy. I have a Gemini subscription, so I really wanted to love Imagen 4, but it's got nothing on GPT-4. This is July 8th, 2025, so I'm sure the breakneck pace of this arms race will have me eating my words in the next few weeks. Who knows, maybe Imagen 5 will be released. But what I like to do in my end-to-end flow is ideate and iterate with GPT-4o using the OpenAI playground. That's platform.openai.com, not ChatGPT. You have better control over the image generation process through the OpenAI playground than you do when chatting with ChatGPT. So the next episode will be video gen, and I'll talk about why I like VO3. And the one after that is going to be stringing it all together. An end-to-end multimedia production with images, video, music, sounds, voice, and prompt engineering. Prompt engineering is fundamental in media generative AI, more than most AI use cases, so you want to get it absolutely dialed. I will cover prompt engineering in the third part of this mini-series, but I wanted to mention it now because you can go to my website's blog and I have a free prompt enhancer, which will convert your prompt into something each tool prefers for better results. Post is currently called VO3 Prompt Generator. That's an SEO tactic. Ignore that. It works for other models with a dropdown. So if you want to start experimenting with images and videos, make sure you either understand prompt engineering really well, or you can just run it through my generator. So this episode will compare and contrast image generation tools. What I like to do when I'm comparing products is hold a gun to Gemini Deep Research and say, rank them globally top to bottom. Don't give me it depends nonsense. And so it did that. You can go to my show notes and see the ranking table with different columns having different rankings and then a sum total rank score sorted list of image generators. And sure enough, GPT-4o won on the sum scores. But it does truly depend. It really does depend with image generation and video generation tools. They all have a different target audience. They have different target use cases. So what works for me and maybe general across the board scores may not be applicable for your particular situation, hence this episode. So listen on to find your best tool. And the goal is by the end of this episode, you can choose a tool and a workflow. Okay, image generation tools for 2025. There's two types of AI image tools, the artists and the collaborators. AI image generators have split into the two main groups. Each is good at different things. Understanding the split helps you pick the right tool for the job. The first group is the artist tools. These are built for artistic quality, creating beautiful cinematic and opinionated images. Their goal is visual flair. Midjourney is the best example of this. It produces images with a professional, polished feel that can be breathtaking. However, this focus on art means you get less control. These tools often misunderstand complex instructions, can't create readable text, and don't place objects precisely. They act more like a temperamental artist than a reliable technician. The second group is the collaborator tools. These tools, like OpenAI GPT-4o and Google Imagen 4, are part of large language models. Their main strength is not just creating an image, but working with you through conversation. They're very good at understanding detailed instructions, creating accurate text, and fitting into other work software. They act like smart partners that refine an image based on your feedback, making them useful for business and design work where you need precision. This split comes from the different goals of their parent companies. OpenAI and Google are data and logic companies, so their image tools are built to follow instructions and understand context. Midjourney calls itself an independent research lab exploring new mediums of thought and focuses only on expanding the, quote, imaginative powers of the human species. This is why GPT-4o can think through complex logo design, while Midjourney feels its way to a beautiful fantasy image that might ignore your prompt. The third type of tool is the sovereign toolkit, like Stability AI's Stable Diffusion or Flux.1. It's an open source model that gives users full control, customization, and privacy. It's a powerful engine for a large community of users, but it requires a lot more technical skill to use. So we'll talk about the 5 main platforms that dominate the market. These are tools you need to know to be competitive. The 5 main players are Midjourney V7. This is the leader in artistic and aesthetic quality. OpenAI GPT-4o. This is the best conversational tool built into ChatGPT. Google Imagen 4, a practical and fast tool built into the Google ecosystem. Stability AI's Stable Diffusion 3, an open source standard for total control and customization. And Adobe Firefly, the professional choice for commercially safe images integrated into Adobe products. Other tools are important for specific jobs. So Ideogram or Ideogram is known for having really good text generation. It often does better than some of the bigger models for this one particular task. And then there's Flux.1, or sometimes just called Flux, Flux. And it's from a team with roots in Stable Diffusion. And it's a new open source option that creates really high quality images and follows prompts really well. So it's going to go head to head against Stable Diffusion, and it will probably tie into the same tooling and ecosystem and workflows that Stable Diffusion offers. So if by the end of this episode you decide that Stable Diffusion is your guy, then you're going to also want to compare it to Flux before you ultimately decide on a model. So a quick recap. Midjourney V7, it's accessed via web app or Discord. It is a subscription model. Its core strength is artistic and photorealistic style, and it's best for fine art, concept design, stylized visuals. GPT-4o, it's accessed through ChatGPT or their API, so if you're building a custom workflow, or platform.openai.com, a web interface around their API that allows you to tinker with their API. And that's my preferred method, is platform.openai.com. It's a freemium/subscription model. Its strength is conversational control and instruction following. and it's best for marketing materials, UI and UX mockups, and logos. Google Imagen 4. It's accessed through Gemini, Google Workspace, and Vertex AI. It's a freemium/subscription model. Its strength is Google app integration and speed of generating images. And it's best for business presentations and educational content. So it's best when you're working within the Google ecosystem. Stable Diffusion 3. It's accessed as a local installation through web front ends like Comfy UI and Automatic 1111. I believe they also have an API you can access. It is open source and free. Its strength is total customization and control, and it's best for developers, power users, and custom workflows. Adobe Firefly. It's accessed through the Creative Cloud apps like Photoshop. Its pricing is a subscription. Its strength is commercial safety and app integration, and it's best for professional designers, agencies, and enterprise use. Now let's tackle them one by one. Midjourney V7. The best for artistic quality, but it lacks control. So in 2025, Midjourney is the top choice for users who want final image quality, artistic style, and cinematic realism above all else. It acts like an artist, producing images that are often called the most beautiful and artistic available. Its images often look like professional concept art, making it a favorite tool for illustrators and designers who need inspirational, high-quality pictures. In version 7, which was released early 2025, they added several important updates. The web interface and draft mode. Midjourney now has a full web application, moving away from its original Discord-only interface. A new feature is draft mode, which lets you generate lower quality images quickly for half the cost. It's designed for fast brainstorming before you commit to creating a high-quality enhanced version. This solves a major problem from older versions, which used a lot of time and credits for every small change. Personalization. V7 lets you set up a personalization profile by rating image pairs, and this trains the model on your personal taste, and it allows Midjourney to adjust its output to better match what you like over time. And this is how you get away from that really signature fantasy sci-fi look towards something that fits your branding. Better prompts and quality. V7 is better than V6 at following instructions, though it still lags behind its main competitors. It handles longer prompts more accurately and creates images with more realistic textures, especially skin, as well as better formed bodies and hands. Video and 3D are coming. Midjourney is developing text-to-video and 3D model features. The video feature in V7 can create short clips, like 60 seconds, from 6 images, and it's known for really high artistic quality. We'll talk more about the video Midjourney feature in the next episode. The 3D features are coming that aim to create NERF-like models, NERF. These are models that let you change camera angles and explore scenes in 3D, and I'm really excited for that. That looks really cool. I'd be curious how that type of functionality works in VR real-time rendering. For weaknesses, it has poor control and text generation. This is Midjourney's biggest weakness. It struggles with precise instructions. It often ignores negative prompts, and it can't count objects correctly, and it can't reliably place items in specific locations. Its inability to create readable text is a major flaw. It's often called embarrassing by some users who need text for logos or posters, and this has earned it a reputation for being an artistic genius with a learning disability. But as you'll see later with workflow like Midjourney to Photoshop, you can skip the text part and add that in later with a editing tool. Privacy and commercial use risks. On the cheaper plans, basic at $10 a month and standard at $30 a month, all images that you create are public by default. To make your images private, which is called stealth mode, you have to subscribe to the Pro, which is $60 a month, or Mega, which is $120 a month plans. This makes cheaper plans unsafe for confidential work. And there's no API, and they tend to be hostile towards automation. Midjourney doesn't offer an API for developers. Its rules also forbid automation, and the company is known to ban users who try to build tools to automate workflows. This walled garden approach shuts out developers who want to use Midjourney inside their own apps. Midjourney's closed system is why it has such a unique artistic style. But this same approach makes it slow to add useful features like text generation, and it's hostile to developers. This forces many professionals to start in Midjourney to get a beautiful image, but then move to other tools to finish the work with more precision. GPT-4o, the best tool for control through conversation. OpenAI's GPT-4o is a conversational partner that can create images. Its main feature is not the image itself, but the intelligent way it follows your instructions. By building the image generation directly into the GPT model as a multimodal model, and in chatgpt.com, OpenAI created a tool whose main advantage is in deep understanding of language, giving you a level of control through dialogue that was not possible before. It works with you to create an image rather than just taking an order. Conversational refinement. This is the tool's killer feature. You can change an image through conversation. After you generate an image, you can give it sample commands like make the background solid black, or add a company logo at the top left corner, or change the character's shirt to red. GPT-4o remembers the context of the conversation and applies the changes, acting like a human designer taking direction from a creative director. It has excellent instruction following and text. Because it's based on a powerful language model, GPT-4o is great at understanding and executing complex prompts. It can handle instructions with many objects, 10 to 20 in a scene, and their relationships to each other. Place the couch over here and the person over there. It's also largely solved one of the hardest problems in AI image generation, creating clear, readable, and correctly spelled text. This makes it a great tool for practical uses like logos, posters, and diagrams where text is required. You won't always get perfect text, but more often than not, you'll get what you want. It can learn from uploaded images. GPT-4o can analyze images that you upload, and this allows for powerful image-to-image work. You can upload a photo and ask the model to change it, copy its style, or use it as a reference for a new image. For example, you can upload a sketch and ask for it to be turned into a polished user interface mockup. You can also upload multiple images at a time and blend different aspects of them together using a prompt. For example, a picture of a chair and a picture of a person and a picture of the outdoors, and say this man is sitting on a chair in the outdoors. Versatile for practical use. The combination of precision and conversational control makes GPT-4o very effective for creating useful images, bolded, useful images. It's a top choice for making UI and UX prototypes, technical diagrams, and marketing materials where following requirements is more important than perfect artistic style. As for weaknesses, it's really slow and it has low output. GPT-4o is much slower to generate images than its competitors like Google Imagen 4. It can also only generate one image at a time, which can be a problem for brainstorming when you need to see many options at once. But you can overcome this problem by batching multiple operations through platform.openai.com's web interface. So you can generate multiple images at a time. They will all still be very slow, but at least you can batch them. It has less artistic style. While it is versatile, its images are often seen as less artistic than Midjourney's. Some users find them to be mediocre, and it has a tendency towards generic, slightly yellow or sepia color tones that can be hard to remove even through prompting. Strict content rules. OpenAI's content safety rules have become very strict and are sometimes unclear. The model may refuse to generate images for seemingly harmless prompts and will refuse to reference copyright styles, which can be frustrating. But as far as safety rules go, again, if you use platform.openai.com, you can disable some amount of these safety rules. You can't get around the copyright issues, though. The true innovation of GPT-4o is the process, not just the final image. By embedding image generation into conversational AI, OpenAI has changed the user's role from a prompter to a creative director. This makes it the go-to tool for stuff that actually needs to work. Google Imagen 4. By the way, if I seem out of breath in this episode, it's because I'm recording it at a treadmill desk. Aristotle, Nietzsche, Kant, and Thoreau all believed walking was essential to thinking. Nietzsche said only thoughts reached by walking have value. So I use a walking desk while I study, record, edit, or work. It improves focus, energy, alertness, and mood by increasing blood flow and endorphins. You should try one too. Meet your fitness goals while you study machine learning or work on your ML projects. See a link to my favorite walking desk setup at ocdevel.com/walk. That's ocdevel.com. Google Imagen 4, the best tool for integration into Google apps. Google's Imagen 4 is fast. It's really fast at generating images. And it's practical, and it does have high quality images. But its main advantage is its deep integration into the Google ecosystem of apps. It's designed to bring image generation into the daily use of millions of businesses, educators, and enterprise users. It features photorealism and detail. Imagen 4 can produce really high quality images, realistic images up to 2K of resolution. It's really good at rendering fine details like fabric, water droplets, and animal fur. It's probably a little bit better than GPT-4o and a little bit worse than Midjourney. So if you want a sort of middle ground between beauty and prompt adherence, I think Imagen 4 falls into that category. Speed and text rendering. A key feature is its speed. Imagen 4 has a fast mode that's reportedly up to 10 times faster than its predecessor, Imagen 3. And like GPT-4o, it's very good at creating accurate text, which is important for making branded images, presentations, and educational content. Google App Integration. This is Imagen 4's main choosing point. Google is putting Imagen 4 into all of its apps, including Google Workspace, Docs, Slides, Vids, and the Gemini chatbot, the developer platform Vertex AI, and more places. So if you live inside Google, this lets you generate custom images with simple text prompts without ever leaving your documents or your presentation. It has multilingual support, so the model supports prompts in many languages, and this makes it useful for global teams. Its weaknesses are that it has limited artistic style. While it's technically good, Imagen 4 is not known for having a unique artistic style like Midjourney. It's more focused on producing accurate and high-quality results rather than inspiring art. And it's dependent on the Google apps. Its greatest strength is its potential weakness. You only get the full value of Imagen 4 if you're using it within other Google's products. For people who don't use Google Workspace or Vertex AI, its benefits may be slightly less valuable than using it in isolation. Google's strategy for Imagen 4 is clear. Instead of trying to out-art Midjourney, Google is using its biggest asset, its popular productivity apps. By putting Imagen 4 directly into apps where millions of people already work, Google is making AI image generation a simple everyday tool. The ability to create the perfect image for a slide deck without switching apps is a powerful advantage that no standalone tool can offer. This strategy aims to capture the huge market of business professionals, marketers, and educators, making convenience its selling point. Stable Diffusion 3, the open source tool for maximum control and customization. Stable Diffusion is the leading open source image generator. It's not a single product, but a core model that powers a huge community. Its main purpose is to give users total control, endless customization, and complete freedom, if they are willing to learn the technical details. With Stable Diffusion, you're the master of your own image generator. So I like to think of Stable Diffusion as learning JavaScript, Node.js, Python, as opposed to using a content management system like Wix or WordPress. If you are going to eat, breathe, and sleep image generation, or if it's part of your product that you are building, and image generation is a core component of your product, then you're going to want to use Stable Diffusion. Or Flux, like I said, an alternative to Stable Diffusion, but also open source. For features, the new MMDIT architecture, Stable Diffusion 3 has a new architecture that is a big step forward. It uses separate sets of programming for processing text and images. This helps the model better understand complex prompts and create more accurate text and spelling, and it fixes the biggest weakness of older versions. It's scalable and efficient. Stability AI has released Stable Diffusion 3 in various sizes, from the small 800 million parameter model to the large 8 billion parameter model. This means it can run on standard consumer computers with an RTX 4090, while still offering top performance for those with more powerful hardware. It also uses a technique called rectified flow, which makes generation faster, allowing for higher quality images in fewer steps. And finally, it has an unbeatable control ecosystem. The true power of Stable Diffusion comes from the huge number of community-built tools that expand what it can do. User interfaces. You can choose between interfaces like Automatic 1111, which is more beginner-friendly, or Comfy UI, a node-based system that offers total flexibility for building complex automated workflows. Detailed customization. Tools like LoRa's and ControlNet provide a level of fine-grained control that's not available in other models. LoRa lets you train the model on specific characters or styles, and ControlNet gives you precise control over composition and pose using reference images. I'll explain these later. Privacy, freedom, and cost. Since Stable Diffusion can run on your own computer, it offers complete privacy. There's no content filters. There's no company watching what you create. Once you have the computer hardware, creating images is totally free, making it the cheapest option for high volume work. As for weaknesses, it has a major steep learning curve. Using Stable Diffusion's full power is not easy. You have to learn how to use different interfaces, install models and extensions, and understand technical concepts. This can be a major hurdle for technical users, but I will cover a lot of these technical concepts in the MLG episode on diffusion models, 3 episodes from now. Quality depends on the user. Unlike curated images from a tool like Midjourney, the quality of Stable Diffusion images depends heavily on your skill of using the tool. Your choice of model, the use of LoRa's, your prompt engineering skills, and settings all have a big impact on the final result. It's wrong to compare Stable Diffusion directly to a product like Midjourney. Midjourney and GPT-4o are products that offer a specific experience. Stable Diffusion is an open source platform, an engine for building custom experiences. Its value is in its endless ability to be extended and the control that it gives the user. The community on sites like Civit AI and Hugging Face constantly create new models and tools, making it a dynamic and ever-growing toolkit. This makes Stable Diffusion the best choice for power users, developers, researchers, and anyone who wants to build a custom image factory instead of just renting one. Adobe Firefly. It's the best for commercial safety and Photoshop integration. Adobe Firefly is Adobe's AI tool built into the Creative Cloud software. It's not meant to be a standalone tool, but a powerful feature set within Adobe's existing products. Its purpose is twofold: to provide AI features inside of the professional workflows, and most importantly, to be the leader in commercial safety. It has deep Creative Cloud integration. Firefly is delivered through Adobe's main applications. Features like generative fill, generative expand, and generative recolor are now part of Photoshop and Illustrator. This means designers and photographers can use AI without leaving their software that they already know. It's commercially safe by design. This is Firefly's biggest selling point for businesses. The Firefly model was trained only on Adobe's own library of licensed Adobe stock images and public domain content with expired copyrights. This clean training data is designed to protect users from the copyright and ethical problems that affect models trained on data scraped from the internet. Adobe guarantees that images made with Firefly are safe for commercial use, providing a level of legal security that other platforms can't offer. Workflow-focused tools. Firefly's main features are built for editing and improving images, not just creating them from scratch. Generative fill, for example, lets you select an area of a photo and replace it with new content based on a prompt. Generative expand smartly extends the borders of an image. These tools help creative professionals with their daily tasks. And I should note, you can create images from scratch with Firefly. It's not just for editing. It's just that specifically for creating images from scratch, other tools might be a little bit superior. Firefly shines in that it can edit photos with AI with precision. As far as weaknesses, it has creative limits. The thing that makes Firefly safe is its training data This also limits its creativity. Since it wasn't trained on the vast and diverse images on the internet, it may not be as good at recreating specific niche art styles compared to Midjourney or Stable Diffusion. And of course, you have to pay a subscription. So full access to Firefly is tied to Adobe Creative Cloud subscription, which can make it one of the more expensive options compared to the other tools. And usage is limited by a system of generative credits. It's using a credit system on top of the subscription. Adobe's strategy for Firefly is smart. First, it's defensive. By building powerful AI features directly into Photoshop, Adobe gives its users little reason to leave for other tools, protecting its main business. Second, it's a bridge. By positioning AI as an editing tool, like generative fill, and guaranteeing commercial safety, Adobe makes AI adoption easier and less threatening for its audience of creative professionals and agencies. Okay, so those are the tools. Now let's talk about tools within tools, some of the editing capabilities. There's in-painting and out-painting. This is how to edit and expand images. In-painting and out-painting are two of the most basic and powerful editing techniques. They turn AI from a simple generator into an editing partner. In-painting is like a magical spot fixer. It's the process of changing, replacing, or fixing a specific area inside of an image. You define a mask, an area to be changed, and the AI recreates the content inside of that mask based on the surrounding pixels and optionally a new text prompt. Think of it like a smart spot remover. Imagine a perfect photo of a room with an unwanted chair in the corner. Within painting, you can draw a mask around that chair, and then if you leave the prompt blank, the AI will fill in the space as if the chair was never there. Or you can give it a prompt like a tall green plant, and AI will replace the chair with a new object that perfectly matches the scene's lighting and style. This is great for fixing errors like bad hands and removing objects or adding new things to a scene. Outpainting is expanding the canvas. It's called generative expand in Photoshop, and it's the process of extending an image beyond its original borders. The AI analyzes the edges of the image and generates new content to expand the picture. So imagine you have a beautiful portrait, but it's a tight close-up, and you want to see more of the background. Outpainting is like asking an artist, show me what's just outside of the frame. And the AI looks at the existing image and paints what would logically continue beyond the original edges. This is like zooming out the original shot to create a wider scene. And you may end up using outpainting a fair bit if you export an image from an image generator into a video generator. So like if you're going from GPT-4o to VO3, sometimes the aspect ratios aren't identical. So you may have to outpaint to get the image to fit the frame size of VO3 perfectly before you generate a clip based on that frame. These two techniques are fundamental to almost every serious AI editing workflow. They are found in Stable Diffusion's UIs, like in the Image-to-Image tab, and they're the core functions of Adobe's Generative Fill and Generative Expand tools. Stable Diffusion's power tools, LoRa's and ControlNet, and you really won't find these tools outside of Stable Diffusion. And they're so vital and so powerful. They're probably the two things that make Stable Diffusion stand out from the crowd. Stable Diffusion's open source community has created powerful tools that offer a level of control that other platforms can't match. The two most important are LoRa's and ControlNet. Together, these turn Stable Diffusion from a random image generator to a precision tool. LoRa's, L-O-R-A, low rank adaption. LoRa's teach the AI a specific style or character. LoRa's are a small file, usually 10 to 500 megabytes, that applies a specific fine-tuned change to a standard Stable Diffusion model. They're an efficient way to teach the AI a new specific concept, like a person's face, or a unique art style, or a particular object, without retraining the entire large model. So imagine your main Stable Diffusion model is a master chef who knows how to cook everything. This is your main model. Now imagine that you want the chef to make your grandmother's secret lasagna recipe. You wouldn't want the chef to go back to culinary school. Instead, you would hand them a single recipe card for that one dish. The recipe card is a LoRa. The chef uses all their existing knowledge, but applies the specific instructions from the card to make the perfect lasagna. There's common types of LoRas. There's a huge library of community-created LoRas on websites like Civit AI. You may have seen that word, CIVITAI. That is a community of mods and tools and gizmos for the Stable Diffusion community, including LoRas and control nets. So there's character LoRas. These are trained on a specific person or a character to create a consistent image of just that character. So you'd want to use this if you have a single character in multiple frames of a video and you want to maintain that consistency. It's called character consistency if you're creating an end-to-end multimedia project. Style LoRas. These are trained on a specific artist or an aesthetic, like the Studio Ghibli style, to apply that look to any image. Concept LoRas. These are trained on an idea or an object, like a glass sculpture, that's hard to describe in words in your text prompt. Clothing and pose LoRas. These are specialized models that apply specific outputs or forcing certain poses. So those are LoRas. And then there's ControlNet. ControlNet is all about controlling composition and pose with a reference image. So ControlNet is a framework that works with Stable Diffusion to add another layer of control. While the text prompt tells the model what to create, the ControlNet uses a reference image to tell it how and where to create it. This enforces a specific structure or pose. So if a text prompt is like telling an architect you want a modern 2-story house, ControlNet is like handing them a detailed blueprint. The blueprint defines the house's structure, like the position of the walls and shape of the roof. And the architect, Stable Diffusion, is still free to be creative with the materials and the decor, the styles, the details, but they must follow the blueprint for the structure, the ControlNet map. It's like a paint-by-numbers kit where the lines are already drawn for you. There are popular ControlNet models. Again, you can find these on websites like Civit AI. ControlNet first analyzes a source image to extract a structural map, MAP. The most popular types include OpenPose. This ControlNet detects the human body in an image and extracts a stick figure skeleton of that pose. This is the best way to copy a human pose perfectly. There are canny and line art control nets. Sometimes they call control nets preprocessors. Canny, C-A-N-N-Y. These detect hard edges or outlines in an image. These are great for copying a composition or turning a sketch into a full image, like a napkin sketch into a full house. Depth control nets. These create a map of a 3D layout of the scene. This allows you to copy the perspective of a scene even if you change all the objects in the style. Normal map control nets. These create a map of surface geometry, which is great for keeping fine surface details while changing the style. LoRa's and ControlNet turn image generation from a game of chance into a game of intention. LoRa's provide consistency for characters and styles, and ControlNet provides consistency for structure and poses. The combination of these tools is what allows you to create complex visual stories and precise commercial images. So when we get to episode 3 on the end-to-end workflow of a full multimedia project, if you want the scene and the character to look consistent across all of the clips, which you do, and you want to specifically place them in particular poses in particularly placed buildings and so forth, you'll use Stable Diffusion with ControlNet to control the proper consistency flow from frame to frame. You're going to see people currently, like on TikTok, they're doing tutorials on how to maintain character consistency in VO3. And they're using really workaround solutions like having ChatGPT convert an image to its textual representation and using that textual prompt in prompt modifications of scene changes over time. And that's fine and good, but that's not going to give you the type of precise control you need when you're taking your multimedia projects very seriously, like if you are a studio. So you will use Stable Diffusion with ControlNet and LoRa's if you need that type of consistency and control. Now, choosing a Stable Diffusion user interface, UI. Automatic 1111 versus Comfy UI, COMFY UI, like comfy chair. If you choose Stable Diffusion, you actually have to pick a user interface. Stable Diffusion is a model and a set of model tools and mods and whatnot. It doesn't come with a user interface, so you have to pick one. And the two main choices are open source. They are Automatic 1111 and Comfy UI. Build the future of multi-agent software with Agency, AGNTCY. Agency is an open source collective building the Internet of Agents. The Internet of Agents serves as an open source, interoperable collaboration layer allowing AI agents to discover, connect, and work seamlessly across diverse frameworks. For developers, this provides standardized agent discovery tools, seamless protocols for inter-agent communication, and modular components to effectively compose and scale multi-agent workflows. Join pioneers like Crew AI, LangChain, Llama Index, BrowserBase, Cisco, and dozens more in this effort. Agency is actively dropping code, specs, and services right now, all open source, no strings attached. Build with other engineers dedicated to high-quality multi-agent software. Visit agency.org and add your support. That's AGNTCY.org. And the two main choices are open source. They are Automatic 1111 and Comfy UI. And these represent a trade-off between ease of use and ultimate power. Automatic 1111 is a user-friendly dashboard. Sometimes called A1111, sometimes it's just called Web UI. I think Automatic 1111 is maybe the user handle on GitHub who created the project, and the project itself was called Stable Diffusion Web UI. It's a popular interface for Stable Diffusion, and it uses a traditional tab-based layout that's easy for most users to understand. It has tabs for key functions, making it fairly easy for beginners to get started. It's more beginner-friendly, and its interface makes common tasks, especially editing one image repeatedly, very simple. It also has a huge community and many extensions for adding new features. But it's less memory efficient than Comfy UI, and more importantly, its workflow is destructive. So once you perform a step, you can't go back and change the earlier setting without starting over. So this makes complex multi-step projects inefficient. Comfy UI is a modular flowchart-like factory. If you've ever seen N8N or any of these flowchart-style pipeline projects, it's like that. It uses a node-based interface where you build your image pipeline visually by connecting blocks together like a flowchart. Each block represents a step in the process, like load model, encode prompt, generate image, save image. Comfy UI offers endless flexibility and better performance. It's more memory efficient, allowing for higher resolution images on the same hardware. But its real power is in its non-destructive nature. You can build complex workflows that run multiple processes at once, and you can change any setting at any point and only affect the parts of the workflow that will rerun downstream of that node. This makes it the best choice for automation, complex experiments, and video generation if you're using Stable Diffusion for video generation. But Comfy UI has a much steeper learning curve. It requires you to understand how Stable Diffusion actually works. Things like schedulers and samplers and variational autoencoders, which we'll cover in the MLG episode. Simple tasks can require connecting multiple nodes, and this can be frustrating for beginners. So the choice is Automatic 1111 for users who want a simple dashboard and Comfy UI for users who want to build a custom engine from scratch. But in my opinion, if you're going to go with Stable Diffusion over the alternative products like GPT-4o or Midjourney, you're already committing yourself to a learning curve of a power tool. You might as well go the whole mile and use Comfy UI, because if you stick with Stable Diffusion for the long haul, there's a high probability that you'll be using Comfy UI by the end anyway. So you might as well commit yourself to the full learning journey. Cool, so those are the tools within tools. Now let's talk about how to combine tools for professional results. So for some people who take this very seriously, specifically people who don't end up choosing Comfy UI and Stable Diffusion, which is the workflow power tool for combining steps. If instead you want to maybe combine some of these tools together, probably one of the most popular is start with Midjourney for art and then move to Photoshop for control. So this is the most popular professional workflow. It combines the strengths of the best platforms. So the workflow uses Midjourney's powerful engine to create beautiful base images, and then uses Photoshop for precision tools powered by Firefly for the essential tasks of editing, cleanup, adding elements that need perfect control, and of course, adding text, which Midjourney struggles with. So the step-by-step guide would look like create a base image in Midjourney, start with Midjourney, focusing only on artistic quality. Craft prompts that prioritize mood, lighting, and composition. Use parameters like the style reference argument, --sref, to guide Midjourney's style. Your goal is to get a visually stunning base image, and once you have one, use Midjourney's upscaler to get the highest resolution version. And again, if you need help with prompt engineering for Midjourney, go to my ocdevel.com blog and look for that prompt generator post, and it can help you generate a Midjourney prompt. Step 2, clean it up in Photoshop. Import the upscaled image into Photoshop. The first step is often cleanup because Midjourney images can have small errors or artifacts, bad hands, and so forth. For larger fixes, use Photoshop's AI-powered generative fill. Select an unwanted object and run generative fill with a blank prompt to intelligently remove it. Composite and expand in Photoshop. This is where Photoshop and Firefly's control really shine. To expand an image, use the crop tool to extend the canvas, and then use generative expand to fill the new space with content that matches the original image. To add new objects, use Photoshop's selection tools to define the area, then use generative fill with a detailed prompt. Firefly's engine will try to match the lighting and perspective of the original Midjourney image. You can also use this step to combine parts of different Midjourney images into one scene. And then finally, finish and brand in Photoshop. Use Photoshop's professional tools to complete the image. Add texts and logos with the type tool. Perform final color grading and sharpening using adjustment layers. Another workflow is simply staying within the Google ecosystem or the Adobe ecosystem. So if the previous workflow is the two-parter medium difficulty, this is the easiest difficulty. For many teams, the best workflow is the one that stays inside of a single software system. For the Adobe Creative Cloud workflow, the workflow is for the creative professional who already uses Adobe. The main benefit is the smooth flow between creating and editing, all within a commercially safe system. A designer might generate concepts in the Firefly web app. So like I said, Adobe can create images, and then bring that image into Photoshop and use the generative fill to add a product mockup, and use the creative recolor in Illustrator to explore new color palettes with a simple prompt like autumn tones. The guarantee of commercial safety makes this the top choice for agencies and large companies, especially those who already use Adobe. And I personally believe Adobe is going to grow and grow. This is their bread and butter, and they can't let anyone eat their lunch when it comes to image creation and generation. So they're going to step up their game in the AI workspace. So if you live inside of Adobe, you can probably stay there. The Google Workspace workflow. This workflow is for business users and educators. The goal is to make image creation an easy part of everyday work. A manager building a presentation in Google Slides can now use the integrated Imagen 4 panel to type a prompt directly into Slides. The AI generates the image and inserts it with one click. The value is speed and convenience, eliminating the need to switch apps, which breaks focus and slows down work. So if you're kind of a manager role or a business role, educator role, staying inside of the Google workflow is just fine using Imagen 4. And then, of course, there's the mega workflow. The third workflow is building an automated pipeline in Comfy UI. For the ultimate power user, the goal is to build an automated image generation factory. This is what Comfy UI is for. It's a node-based system that lets you create complex, repeatable workflows that are impossible in other interfaces. This is ideal for tasks that need consistency, batch processing, or a sequence of complex steps. Here are some example workflows with Comfy UI. Automated upscaling and detailing. You can build a workflow that generates a base image, sends it to an upscaler, and then sends that output to both a face fixing tool and a hand fixing tool, and then combines the results. This entire multi-step process can be run with one click. Consistent characters in multiple poses. You can load a character LoRa to define a character's appearance, then feed that into multiple control net nodes, each with a different pose. When you run the workflow, it will generate images of the exact same character, all in specific poses at once. Complex style blending. The node system allows for detailed blending of styles. You can combine multiple text prompts, style information from an uploaded image, and several LoRa's to create highly specific artistic styles that are hard to get with a single prompt. Advanced video generation. Comfy UI is the standard for advanced AI video, multi-step, consistent video creation. Its system is perfect for loading motion models, scheduling prompt changes over time, and applying other video effects, giving you a level of control that other UIs can't match. And there are tools within the Stable Diffusion ecosystem for video. There's Stable Video Diffusion and Animate Diff, which we'll talk about next episode. Alternatively, if you really like VO3, I don't know if you can plug in API calls to Comfy UI. You might be able to, but what you could do is send a keyframe that was generated through the image pipeline up to the Vertex AI VO3 API and then get back a generated 8-second clip. Okay, so that's everything. Now, let's talk about how to choose the right AI tool. I think probably up until this point, you've got a sense of what you want to pick. But let's just break it down into a decision tree. Actually, let's break it down into 2 decision trees. The first decision tree is based on your goal, and the second decision tree is based on your skill level or your desire to work on your skill level. Choosing a tool based on your goal. If you want fine art, concept art, artistic inspiration, then use Midjourney. It is the artist with the best artistic and cinematic quality. If you want a photorealistic image, photorealism, not necessarily art, but photorealism, then again, use Midjourney, which of course it can handle cinematic realism, but also Google Imagen 4, which can also handle photorealism very well and high resolution detail. If you want to create a marketing ad or a logo or a UI mockup with text or with reference images, use GPT-4o, number 1, or Imagen 4, number 2. They have the best text generation for commercial use. Also look into Ideogram, Ideogram. It's evidently very good at text generation in particular. If you want to create a consistent character in a consistent pose, use Stable Diffusion and Control Net and LoRa. This is the only reliable way to do this. Use a character LoRa for the look and Control Net, Open Pose Control Net, model for the pose. If you want to edit and enhance an existing photo, then use Photoshop Firefly. Its generative fill and generative expand features are designed for exactly this kind of editing work. If you want to create an image with an anime style or a specific niche art style, use Stable Diffusion with a style LoRa. The Stable Diffusion community has a huge library of LoRa's trained on specific styles like Ghibli, giving you the most control. Now for the second decision tree, based on your skill level, if you're an absolute beginner and you just want to make cool pictures, You start with Midjourney or GPT-4o. Their web interfaces are easy to use and give high quality results without steep learning curves. Midjourney if it's art forward, and GPT-4o if the thing that's most important is that it listens to what you're saying. If you're a creative professional and you're comfortable with Photoshop, use the Midjourney to Photoshop workflow. This uses your existing skills and combines the best art generator, which is Midjourney, and the best professional editor, which is Adobe. If you're a power user or a tinkerer and you're willing to get your hands dirty, pick Stable Diffusion. You could use the automatic 1111 UI if you want a more beginner-friendly UI, which is perfect for learning and experimentation. But in my opinion, you're probably going to outgrow that. And so the next one is if you're a developer or an automation expert and you want to build custom pipelines, use Stable Diffusion with Comfy UI for building automated local workflows. Or you can use the OpenAI or Google Vertex AI APIs for commercial products. The Comfy UI node system is the best tool for automation. So those are 2 decision trees on choosing a tool. Let's present some make or break scenarios that maybe can rule things out ASAP for you. If you absolutely need text, don't use Midjourney unless you're going to do it through Photoshop. Use GPT-4o or Ideogram or Imagen 4. If you need to run the model on your computer for privacy or cost or to avoid filters, Stable Diffusion. If you're creating images for a large company and you need a guarantee that they are commercially safe from copyright claims, Adobe Firefly, because it was trained on clean training data. Even though you're going to be generating images on your local computer with Stable Diffusion seems like a safe bet for copyright claims, the training data that Stable Diffusion was trained on might flag some copyright issues. If you need to automate image generation with an API for a product, you'll need to use OpenAI or Google APIs or Stable Diffusion. Automating image generation through Midjourney violates its rules and can get you banned, and that feature is not available in Firefly. Now, that's the end of this episode. I think that this episode is going to be rendered obsolete in short order. Today is July 9th, 2025, and I'm sure that within a week or two, one of these products will leapfrog the other. I've got my eye on Google. I think Google is making a major comeback, so I think that Imagen 4 is positioned to evolve exponentially. Beyond that, though, I do believe that many of these tools will become all-in-one tools, such that this whole decision tree-based if-else system won't be relevant anymore, and you'll just pick your favorite company. And I do believe that the image generation process of the video generation end-to-end multimedia project workflow will be an all-in-one before too long. So yeah, I create podcast episodes that are rendered obsolete in short order. But hey, thus is the name of the game when running a podcast about AI. I am playing with temporal fire. C'est la vie. I'll see you in the next episode on Video Gen. Also, I'm available for part-time work, so if you need a consultant or a contractor, go to ocdevel.com for my professional experience and contact information. Let's work together. You've been listening to Machine Learning Guide, and I'm your host, Tyler Ranelli. MLG teaches the fundamentals of machine learning and artificial intelligence. It covers intuition, models, math, languages, frameworks, and more. It's a start-to-finish audio overview of machine learning principles. Then for topics needing more depth or which are best learned visually, I provide a syllabus of resources at ocdevel.com/MLG. That's OCDEVEL.com. You'll notice that episode titles start with either MLG or MLA. G for guide teaches theory and fundamentals, where A for applied teaches industry and practical tools. You can listen to either or both depending on your goals. If you want to support the show, like and subscribe in your podcatcher, whether iTunes, Spotify, or YouTube.